Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Ryan and this is Ryan Recommends. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at my Archer C5400 wireless router from TP-Link. This router I've been using for almost a year now, and I thought I would share my experiences with it, try and highlight a few of the features, and let you know at the end if I would still recommend it after having it for over a year. So I've got my old one that I was using before. I've got this one, so we can do a little comparison. Might be a similar upgrade situation that some of you are debating. So I thought it would be some good information for all of you out there considering an upgrade. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, let's start off taking a look at this box. One of the first things you're going to notice is this thing is a lot bigger than you originally thought when you get it into your hands. So the computer, when you're buying these online, do not do it justice in the size that you get it. But mainly it's the features here that we're going to take a look at. So this is the front of it, but on the back is really where I kind of want to explain where I think the magic is in this particular router, is that it has 3 bands. So if I can zoom in here a little bit, I'm going to try and show you. So it's got 2.4 gigahertz band and then 2 5 gigahertz bands. So simply put, the 2.4 is a little slower, but I found has more range. The 5 gigahertz is a little less range, but definitely much snappier and faster. Especially I noticed it like on my smartphones and other devices that are newer. They can take advantage of the 5 gigahertz band. The other thing is, if you notice right there, it's explaining that each band has 4 streams. So what's nice is if you have multiple devices, say on your 5 gigahertz one, you typically don't see too much of a slowdown. So you can get up to 4 of them before you would notice any kind of, I don't know, delay or lack in performance. So essentially, if you think about it, that's 4, 4, and 4. So you could have up to 12 devices before this thing is going to have an issue switching from device to device. So that's a really nice feature. The other thing is, if you read up here, for each band it has a separate processor. So essentially it has a different CPU processing all the data coming and going out of the router for each band. So even if one band is getting used more heavily than the other, it's not going to affect the other band. So that is a nice feature there. And this other thing here, it's got a funny name to it. I don't know if I'm going to say it right. The mu-mimo technology. But essentially, this also allows it to put more range. I'll show you here in a minute the actual unit. More range to the antennas where the devices are. And it's basically a smart way to process the signal. So that's also a really nice feature. So those were kind of the main things I wanted to point out. Was that it does have the 3 processors. It is a tri-band, but it also has 4 lanes per band, which I think can be overlooked as well. So I think that's enough of the box. Let's go ahead and take a look at the unit itself. Alright, here's an actual picture of the unit itself. Like I said, it's very large and very heavy. I mean, it's almost like buying a little mini computer, honestly, is what it looks like. These antennas come folded down out of the box, but I guess you could leave them down, but you probably wouldn't get as much range, so you flip them up. And like I said, this thing knows to put more strength to certain antennas based off where your device is. So if your device is over here on this side, it's going to focus the antennas over here or over here, vice versa. So kind of a cool little feature. As far as the front of it here, I'm going to show you this thing plugged in later, but I want you to be able to see these. So basically the power indicator, and then these lights turn on to show you the 3 different bands, you know, if it's connected to the internet and if you have anything to the USB ports on the back. So good indicator lights. They're not too bright, but it does allow you to see real at a glance that everything's working correctly. So we'll just kind of spin the unit around here, see if we can get to refocus. Nothing on the sides. So as far as the back here, what is nice is, okay, so your power goes in here. I did have the power adapter here. It's actually a pretty good sized brick, showing you actually how much power this thing is demanding. You know, it's not a dinky little power supply. But so your power goes in here. What is nice is if you do want to power cycle this, which, you know, a lot of us back in the day when we first started buying these newer modems and routers, is we always had to reset them all the time. Well, that really hasn't been the case for me. But if you did need to power cycle it or just turn it off, maybe you just want to turn the internet off to the kids or whatever, it does have a quick power button here. USB 3.0. You do have your 4 Ethernet ports. This is where your internet comes in from your modem, and then a USB 2.0. So pretty standard here on the back, what you see on most of them, but does the job for me. And later in the video I'll show you how I actually have it connected up to my house. So there's the back of it. So pretty amazing unit as far as just the quality of the build, the features that it has. So over here I'm going to bring in, this is my old one. So, you know, I do a lot of gaming. I'm into tech. You know, I'm always trying to stay somewhat current and have some of the nicest stuff. Well, when I bought this one, this was a gamer lounge from TP-Link several years ago. I thought it was pretty sweet at the time when I bought it. I thought, okay, this was kind of back when dual band, you know, this one's tri-band. This one's dual band, so I thought, oh, okay, great. You know, and 5 gigahertz was just coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll be able to have 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, and that's great. And, you know, pretty similar situation here on the back. But the problem with this one is that what's so much better about something like this is that back then, I didn't have that many smart devices. You know, maybe I had my phone, I don't know, maybe one video game console or something like that. I mean, I had only maybe 2 or 3 devices that was actually utilizing the Wi-Fi, and my computer, I actually had, my PC, I had hardwired, a few things hardwired in, so it wasn't a big deal. But like most of us, we end up with 2 or 3 smartphones in the house, we have a couple tablets, then we have a smart TV, and then we have, you know, PlayStations and Xboxes, and not to mention a Switch, and you know, who knows what else smart devices you have. Your thermostat, you know, you go on and on and on, everything becomes a smart device. Well, what I started to notice with this, as soon as I got past 2 or 3 devices, is that the performance really started to decline. And it was a lot of peaks and valleys. You know, obviously when I wasn't using much, it kind of held its own. But then when everybody was home using their devices, you almost felt like you had to come up here and make sure the thing was working. And this was a pretty top-of-the-line unit at the time. So what I would say is if you have something like this, which even would be pretty good for most situations, but if you're somebody that has lots of devices, it's time to upgrade. And you're going to notice a huge difference when you switch over to something like this. So, yeah, that's the comparison from where I went to as far as my upgrades. Now, I do have mine, I'll show you up there, I do have a Cat8 cable connected to this device and all my other devices, which I had mentioned in a previous video. One thing you'll notice if you haven't ever bought a Cat8 is how much thicker this is compared to a Cat5 cable. So I'll see if I can get this to focus here. And most of them that you buy are going to come with some kind of gold plating on there. So much thicker, nicer cable. Allows you to utilize a lot more speed. And if you have all these multiple devices hooked up, you know, it's just going to allow you to transfer a lot more data. So I just wanted to point that out. That is how I've got this thing connected up, and I'll show you that in here in a bit. Okay, well, that's kind of an overview of the unit, where I was coming from as far as my upgrade situation. So I'm going to get this thing connected back up where it's at with my modem, and you can see my modem, my router, and how I have it all connected, and we'll wrap it up and let you know if I still recommend this. Okay, so here I am up at my entertainment center area, and I've got everything plugged back in and the internet's back working again. But you can see it here connected to my modem, and here's the router. You can see that the lights, see if we can get it to focus on that, indicating internet, and that everything's working, the Wi-Fi powered on. You can see here in the back I've got all my cables coming out, all my Cat8 cables. I do have one Cat6, but it's going to an older device that I don't use very often, but otherwise I've got Cat8 coming out everywhere. Cat8 from my modem to the router. So, you know, the final verdict, do I recommend? You know what, in a previous video I showed you guys this and a combination with this, and I couldn't be happier, to be honest with you. I live kind of out in the country, and you know, sometimes I get pretty good distance away from this router, and I would say the signal strength is as good as you're going to get without maybe adding some type of repeater or something, which, you know, can add even more delay in your signal. But for just having a one source, I live in a tri-level home. I'm upstairs, downstairs, in the yard, in the backyard, in the front yard, and I can tell you, if my 5 gigahertz doesn't quite want to reach, I can just quickly switch to the 2.4, and I seem to get about another 400 or 500 feet of range. So excellent purchase. I would highly recommend it. If you guys are on the fence of, man, this thing's kind of expensive, I don't know if I should bite the bullet and buy something like that, I would say do it. You know, we're all on our devices every day. It's kind of like, you know, things that you use the most, I have always believed that is where you probably should spend your most money. And nowadays, I think we're all using the internet and Wi-Fi so much that I think getting something that performs well is important. So appreciate you guys watching the video. Please like and subscribe. That really helps me out. And if you have any other questions about anything, let me know. And I look forward to showing you guys another video next time. Almost forgot to mention, I will leave the links to the Amazon pages where I got everything in my setup. So if you guys want to look down in the description or the comment area, I will leave all the links that will take you straight there so you guys can check it out on Amazon. That is where I got everything. And I just want to say thanks again.